Understanding why people behave the way they do is one of the biggest challenges in any organization. Employees, managers, and leaders all bring different personalities, emotions, experiences, and motivations into the workplace. Because of this, understanding human behavior is an important part of creating effective teams, improving communication, and building a strong workplace and relationships. Robert Greene's book, The Law of Human Nature, focuses on the ideas of by examining the common patterns that influence how people think, make decisions, and interact with others. Throughout this book, Greene argues that people often not as rational as they believe they are. Instead, human behavior is heavily influenced by emotions, personal experiences, insecurity, biases, and unconscious motivations. His main argument is that individuals who learn to recognize these patterns in themselves and others will be better equipped to handle relationships, making decisions, and understand the behavior of those around them. Robert Greene is an author known for writing books about power, strategy, leadership, and human behavior. Some of his most well-known books include The 48 Laws of Power, which is one of my personal favorites, Mastery and the Art of Seduction. Greene's writing often focuses on how people gain influence, achieve success, and navigate relationships with others. Before he became a full-time author, Greene worked in different industries, including publishing and media. His experience working with different people and organizations influenced his interest in studying human behavior. Although Greene writes extensively about psychology and human behavior, he does not have a traditional academic background in psychology. Instead, he uses historical examples, biographies, philosophy, and observation of human behavior to support his arguments. This is important when evaluating the book because his examples make the ideas interesting and easy to understand, but they are not always based on scientific research or studies conducted in workplace settings. The intended audience for the laws of human nature appear to be individuals who want to improve their understanding of themselves and other people. The book is especially relevant for leaders, managers, professionals, and anyone interested in improving communication and relationships. Many of Greene's examples relate to leadership, conflict, teamwork, decision-making, and influence, which makes the book relevant to organizational settings. Managers often deal with different personalities, employee motivation, conflict, and communication challenges, so understanding human behavior can be valuable in those situations for sure. The book is organized around 18 different laws that explain patterns Greene believes influence human behavior. One of the first major ideas discussed in the law of irrationality, Greene argues that people often believe they make decisions based on logic, but emotion frequently influences their choices. People make decisions based on anger, fear, insecurity, jealousy, or the need for approval without fully recognizing those influences. This idea connects strongly to emotional intelligence, which is an important concept in organizational psychology. Emotional intelligence involves understanding and managing your own emotions while also recognizing the emotion of other people. In the workplace, emotional intelligence can influence communication, leadership, teamwork, and conflict resolution. A manager who understands their own emotions, reactions may be more likely to respond calmly and effectively during difficult situations with employees or other work staff. For example, if an employee gives a manager a negative feedback, the manager may immediately become defensive. A manager with strong emotional intelligence may recognize that reaction and take time to understand the feedback before responding. This type of response can be helpful and can help build trust and create a workplace where employees feel comfortable sharing concerns, which is really important for growth in a company. Another major theme in the book is understanding other people's motivations. Green argues that people don't always openly communicate about their intentions and that actions often reveal more than words. He suggests that individuals should pay attention to patterns of behavior rather than only focusing on what people say. I really like that one. In an organizational setting, this idea can be useful when understanding employee behavior. For example, if an employee suddenly becomes less involved in meetings or stops participating in projects, a manager should not immediately assume that the employee is lazy or uninterested. There could be many possible reasons, such as stress, lack of support, unclear expectations, or feeling disconnected from the organization. A manager should gather more information before making an assumption. I feel like that's really important also. Green also discusses the importance of understanding personality differences. He explains that the people have different values, goals, experiences, and insecurities that influence how they react with others. He argues that many conflicts happen because people assume others think the same way that they do. Developing empathy and trying to understand different perspectives can improve relationships and reduce misunderstandings. This connects to a workplace diversity and inclusion because organizations are made up of individuals with different backgrounds and experiences. Effective leaders need to understand these differences and create an environment where employees feel respected and valued. Another important idea in the book is the law of narcissism. Green argues that all people have the same level of self-interest and desire to feel important and recognized. This connects to employee motivation because many employees want more than just to financial compensation. Employees often want recognition, opportunities for growth, meaningful work, and a sense that their contribution matters. This idea relates to motivation theories discussed in organizational psychology. Green also discusses the law of role-playing, which focuses on the idea that people may present themselves differently depending on the situation. This idea could relate to a workplace interaction such as interviews, meetings, leadership situations. However, this also creates an important HR consideration because managers should be careful not to judge their employee or job candidates based on limited interactions that they've had with them. This is why structured interviews and consistent evals are important, especially in HR. Decisions should be made based on job-related information rather than personal opinion or first impression. Throughout the laws of human nature, Green uses examples from history to explain his arguments. He discusses political leaders, artists, business figures, and other influential individuals to show that similar patterns of behavior appear across different time periods. His argument is, although society and technical change, many basic human behaviors remain consistent. Overall, the main message of the laws of human nature is that understanding human behavior can help individuals become better leaders, co-workers, and decision makers. Green believes that people who recognize their own weaknesses and understand the motivation of others will have an advantage in both personal and professional situations. While the book provides many interesting ideas, it is important to recognize that some of Green's arguments are based more on historical examples and personal observations rather than scientific. If I were working in an organization where a manager came back from reading the laws of human nature, I and wanted to immediately implement all of Green's recommendations, I would recommend taking a more careful approach. While the book provides valuable insight into people, understanding people, making major organizational changes based on one book could create unintended consequences. Every organization has its own culture, employees, and challenges, so a strategy that works in one situation may not work in another, even though he provides like a lot of good information in that book. One recommendation from Green's book that I believe could be useful in an organization is the focus of self-awareness. Green argues that people need to understand their own emotion, weakness, and biases before they can effectively understand others. This connects the emotional intelligence, which is an important skill for managers and leaders. Leaders who have strong emotional intelligence are often better at communicating, resolving conflict, and building relationships with employees. For example, a manager who becomes frustrated when an employee makes a mistake may react emotionally and criticize the employee. A manager who practices self-awareness may recognize their frustration, consider the situation more carefully, and respond in a way that focuses on improvement rather than blame. This type of leadership approach can increase trust and create a healthier workplace environment. Overall, I think the Laws of Human Nature provides valuable ideas about understanding people, but it should not be treated as a complete guide for managing employees. Green does a great job at explaining how emotions, experience, personal motivations, how all of those things influence behavior. These concepts connect well to emotional intelligence, leadership, motivation, and workplace relationships. However, the biggest limitation of the book is that many of Green's arguments are based on observation. HR professionals need to balance these ideas with evidence-based practices and research-supported interventions instead of scientific or historic events. If I were an HR professional, I would feel comfortable using some of Green's ideas as a way to encourage self-awareness and improve leadership development. I would be more hesitant to apply his recommendations related to predicting employee motivation or influencing behavior without additional evidence. Organizations have an ethical responsibility to make decisions that are fair, effective, and supported by research, not just events that might have happened in the past. The best approach would be combining Green's ideas about human behavior with established HR practices, and understanding employees and individuals is really important. But organizations also need to rely on data, research, and ethical decision making. By combining both perspectives, companies can create workplaces where employees feel supported while also improving organizational performances. Thank you.